Please.
Duff.
Here.
Jeremy. Kazmecki.
Here.
McNutt.
Here.
Nedrow.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
I don't believe we have any additions to business, do we?
We do not, thank you.
Perfect. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman to approve as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Correspondence and information. We did have a email that came in just after business hours, last meeting from Beth Ayers. Letter from Mr. Renwick. Oakland County Notice of Public Meetings, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Coats for Cold, flyer, and another fundraising event from 5 Points of Hope. So with that, council's pleasure.
Motion to
Receive file.
receive and file.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy to receive and file. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First call to public. Opportunity for citizens to address council on agenda items only. Ms. Ayers.
Good evening. Beth Ayers, 936 Mena, Wolverine Lake. Good evening, village council members and my fellow residents of Wolverine Lake. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm here to address a serious issue, one that goes beyond a simple property dispute. It's about justice, fairness, and the duty of our public officials and employees to uphold the laws
Beth,
they were
is
sworn
this,
to enforce.
is this on the agenda item?
Yeah, it goes towards the complaint that I filed.
Okay,
Okay,
I guess under correspondence.
okay.
Okay, sure, yep.
So I stand before you today not only as a concerned citizen, but as someone who has personally experienced the consequences of a legal system compromised by conflicts of interest and public corruption. Let me start by reminding this council that you enacted Ordinance 127008 to protect property rights. Yet when it came time to enforce this ordinance, the police department, the code enforcement officer, the village administrator, all public employees of this village failed to do so. Instead of upholding local, state, and federal laws, they aided and abetted in intimidation and criminal acts with the Rankins, violating my rights as a property owner and as an American. The ordinance violation should have been resolved fairly and swiftly, but instead has been twisted into an untimely boundary line dispute, influenced by relationships between public employees in powerful positions, including but not limited to law enforcement and the judiciary. Mr. Gillum, our village administrator, has deep-rooted connections into Oakland County's legal and government systems. His previous roles as attorney for Royal Oak and as the Oakland County Assistant Prosecutor have established close ties with key figures, including Justin Kristen Hartig and Judge Mary Ellen Brennan, who presided over my case. This professional overlap between Mr. Gillum, the prosecutor Scott Baker, and these judges raised serious concerns about impartiality, which reflects a troubling pattern of conflicts of interest that jeopardize the integrity of our local legal system. It's a systemic issue that affects us all. When public officials and judges come from the same small network, can any of us truly trust that decisions are made fairly? How can we be confident in a legal system dominated by personal relationships and long-standing connections? To the people of Wolverine Lake, taxpayers should not be funding a system that allows public officials to engage in corrupt practices. Our hard-earned money should be going towards building a community where justice is upheld for every citizen, not protecting those who abuse their power and violate the laws. If you are a concerned citizen who believes in accountability and transparency, I want you to know that you have an option in this upcoming November election. I, Beth Ayers, am running as a write-in candidate for the Wolverine Lake Village Council. Together, we can put an end to the misuse of power and ensure our local government works for us, not against us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? First call. Seeing none, close the first call of public. Moving on to consideration of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Mr. O'Brien.
Just one comment for council's benefit. Item A is the meeting minutes from our meeting on September 11th. Due to some email issues that we had at the office, we weren't able to include the minutes in the packet. We were able to get those wrapped up yesterday and today, and there is a copy of the minutes sitting on the table in front of you today. So,
If that being the case.
Board appointments. Board appointments.
Well, we still got to vote on this, right?
still have to vote on the consent agenda.
In front of us, we looked at it.
Okay, yep, that's fine.
As presented.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Any discussion then?
Needs time to read them.
Yep. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Kaznaki,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Okay, now on the board appointments. Recommendation, council reappoint Tom Height, Brian Lindman, and Patrick Brzezowski to the planning commission for term expiring 12/31/27.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Any discussion on that? All three of them been on planning, and they've done a fine job, so. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 10A, that's a NCL Service Line Warranty Program. We've got Mike Chambers here, I believe. Can you give us a little idea of what the program's about? I guess this is something that they brought to the village.
That's right. Mr. Chambers reached out to me by way of email. This is a program that I'm somewhat familiar with because my former employer, the City of Royal Oak, has been a longtime participant in the program. I believe they still are.
They are,
I
yes.
understand. So, rather than dumb down the program, I'll let Mike go ahead and explain what the program is about.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members of council and city staff here. I appreciate you allowing me a few minutes tonight to tell you a little bit about the National League of Cities Service Line Program and how it can benefit your residents. My name is Mike Chambers, and I'm with HomeServe. We are the administrators of the NLC Service Line Program, and through that program, we work with cities and municipalities all across the country to make service line warranties available for your residents. So a little bit of a background how this program got started, and the reason the National League of Cities has gotten involved is they understand the infrastructure is getting older and older, especially when it comes to water and sewer lines. And one of the big issues is while cities and municipalities are doing their part to maintain the main water and sewer lines that are in the street, you have these miles and miles of lines that connect to that system that a lot of times they don't get any attention until there's a problem, and that's the residents' lateral service lines. And pretty much everywhere we go, we hear the same story. You know, resident will have a frozen water line that breaks, or their sewer line collapses, or even gets clogged with tree roots. First thing they do is call the village. You have to send someone out, make sure the line in the street's working properly. Typically, it is because you're doing the maintenance and the upkeep on it. And then that's where it kind of puts the village in the bad situation to where you're the bearer of bad news. Mr. and Mrs. Resident, we found the problem. It's your line that's causing the issue. You're going to have a contractor, out here and have it repaired. And a lot of residents, they don't even realize they're responsible for these buried lines until they have these issues. And even the residents that do realize they're responsible, they don't have the $6,000, $7,000 it can cost to dig them up and replace it. So that's kind of where our program comes in. First off, it's an educational program. We do a free public awareness campaign to all the homeowners here in the community, just letting them know that these lines are their responsibility. Also give them tips on what they can do to keep things working properly. Don't put grease down your trains, that sort of thing. And then secondly is give them a chance to purchase a warranty if they choose to. The nice part for the village, it's a fully turnkey program. We handle all the marketing, all the billing, all the customer service, all the claims management, and there's no cost or anything to the village for participating. Now, as for your residents, the nice part too is it's a completely optional program. So the village does decide to participate. It's nothing that's forced to the residents. It doesn't go on their water bill or anything like that. It's simply a program that's available if they choose, then they can enroll and get coverage for it. We'll make 3 products available for your residents. The first is the external water line coverage. That covers the water line all the way from where it enters the home up until where it connects to the city's connection, whether that's the curb stop or the main. Covers leaking lines, broken lines, slow-running lines, frozen lines. Basically, any disruption in their water service is covered. There's no deductible on that program. There's also no service fees, and we don't do any pre-inspection, so everybody's eligible to enroll. The second coverage is actually probably our most popular coverage here in the state, and that's the sewer line coverage. That'll cover the entire sewer line from where it enters the home all the way to where it connects to the main. And then the nice part about that is not only will it cover a full replacement of the line, but it also covers, simple things. Something gets flushed down there, or there's tree roots, it just needs to be, cleaned out for them. Once again, no deductible or service fees. And then the final product is the in-home plumbing and drainage, and that'll cover all the water and sewer lines inside the home, as well as faucets, toilets, all that sort of thing. When the residents do have an issue, all they have to do is make one call to us. They don't have to call the city or anything like that. We have a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week U.S.-based call center, and then we dispatch the job to a local licensed plumber. That's another big benefit of the program, is we only use contractors from here in the community to do the work. Not only is that, keep the dollars here locally, but local contractors, they know what the codes are here, they know all the permits that need to be pulled, so they're going to fix everything the way the village wants. As for the way we make it available for your residents, I always get the question, are residents going to get annoying phone calls and things like that? We never do any telemarketing. All aspects of the program is done through that educational letter. Typically, we mail that out twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. Before we ever mail it, though, it will come to the village. You have an opportunity to review it and make sure you're happy with all the language that's in it, because it will say the National League of Cities and the village want to make you aware of the program. So we have about 1,300 communities across the country. There's about 40 that are participating here in Michigan, Royal Oak, Berkeley, a few of those. Our most recent participant actually signed on today. It's Kalamazoo on the other side of the state. We've been doing the program since 2010. Just in the past 3 years alone, we fixed over 1.2 million lines, saving residents over $500 million. About 26 million of that is here in Michigan alone. So partners like Royal Oak have saved their residents over $2 million. We have about 4 or 5 other communities where it's been $1 million worth of savings for their residents. So that's kind of the highlights of the program. I'd like to answer any questions if you have any.
I have a question. Do you have any competitors?
The only competitor we have is a company called American Water. They are a water provider, so they offer the program in areas where they are the water company. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you how you advertise, but you answered that question.
no.
Yes, all right.
If another company wanted to come in and offer this kind of insurance, but not through the National League of Cities, without the village logo,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, completely. The agreement is a non-exclusive agreement, so you could, have another competitor that wanted to offer it as well. We just make it available that way through a partnership with the village, so. And the reason we partner with the village is we want to make sure that we cover everything your residents are responsible for. So before we ever mail anything out, we'll work with you to get your codes. One of the cities we work with here in Michigan is Saline, and their water line coverage for their residents actually extends all the way to the main. So we want to know stuff like that before we design the product, because we want to design a product that is going to cover your residents 100%, so that there's no lapse in coverage. That's how we maintain our customer satisfaction standards. So. Yes, ma'am.
So we do pretty much primarily, the village is low-pressure sewer, which means we have grinder pumps
Okay.
and just 1.5-inch directionally drilled lines that are fused into the existing force main lines in the streets.
Gotcha.
The owner technically only is covered from their home to the grinder pump.
Okay.
The only thing that beyond that is their problem is if they decide to put like baby's diapers or
That's what we said.
rags or towels down it, and then they are charged for repairs. I
That's
just
through the county.
didn't know if and the county usually handles all of our low-pressure repairs. I didn't know if you guys did anything with low-pressure sewers.
We would cover if a diaper or something was, flushed down there, residents could file a claim and we would come out and clean it out for them. So,
But you can handle grinder pumps?
grinder pump. So are the residents responsible for the grinder pump here, or is that something that?
That is something that's covered typically by the WRC.
Okay, so yeah, we would only cover what your residents are responsible for.
this is more of a question for Jen. The revenue sharing component, if the money that we would get from this, would that go into the general fund? Or would that go
We
into
go in
water?
the water fund, yeah.
Okay.
Water and sewer fund?
Yeah.
Well, the other question is too, I mean, we've really only got.
Two
we've got
water mains.
Community well systems,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got limited water service, I mean, it runs down Glengarry here, and I think down South Commerce, but
We've
really
Helmsford.
nothing
Very little.
internal, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a
Whole
whole
lot
lot
of
of
water.
water systems currently.
So, I mean, really,
Yeah, I think we have 320 homes on the system.
And
and
we
that's our community well system.
Correct.
So that would be our responsibility up until,
The stop box.
the stop box going
Is,
into the.
stop box from the house would be the homeowner's responsibility. That
Right,
is under
right.
them,
Yeah,
so.
so I was wondering how that would work with that system.
It works the same way as a typical water
Typical water
main.
main.
Yeah. mhm.
After Mike reached out to me initially, we had a follow-up, a phone conversation, and I explained to him that we were kind of a mishmash, if you will, between well and septic, between community wells, between septic and sewer, between community wells, private wells, and some houses on city water too. So I think he's aware that we're
Yeah.
kind of a mixed bag.
And we can work with you to.
Do you warranty septic fields?
We don't do the fields, so it's just
Okay.
just the
All right.
lines, yeah. So we treat the lines just like a city line, but
So
Feel
that
like
would be a
it's-
line from the home to
to
the
the
tank?
tank, yeah, the tank, and then the water line from the well to the home, so.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Chairman? Well, what's everybody think?
It's really up to the residents. I mean, all
Yeah.
we're doing is offering them the opportunity to purchase a type of insurance
Right.
that they probably couldn't get otherwise themselves. At least I'm not aware of any other way to get it, so as long as they're informed properly,
Yeah,
it's really all that matters.
yeah.
And it does sound like we'll have some buy-in on that.
Yeah, for sure, 100%, yeah. Yeah, we start you with a letter template, and then you can kind of craft it however you want, so.
Dave, you mentioned that you had that in Royal Oak. I mean, do you have any feedback as far as?
I was just going to comment that the materials that the company was using in Royal Oak for promotional purposes, they all were submitted to city staff. And our Department of Public Works, the Attorney's Office, we all had a chance to review those and weigh in on those and make any changes that we felt were necessary or appropriate before the materials went out to the residents.
If I could just ask one more question. So, for instance, we have a shower and it's got the knob on the wall.
Yep.
And the other side is blocked, and I've always thought, boy, when that goes someday, that's gonna be a real pain to fix.
Right.
So, when it finally goes, that's something you
Yeah, if
guys
you
would
have our
cover.
in-home
So
plumbing-
You'd have to break tile out.
Yeah.
You'd have to go in from the front, then you'd have to put everything back.
Correct, yeah. So there is a
Up to $3,000.
$3,000 cap, so
Right.
and we would pay all that to you, and then if there's anything over
Yeah.
that, you would just be responsible for it. But
And do you handle the backflow prevention?
So do you, is that part of your code
It's
now?
typically outside of the house. I don't know if it's part of the village code.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of municipalities are requiring that as
Yeah.
part of code, and I didn't know.
So, yeah, if it's, we've worked with
Exterior of
cities
the
where
wall.
they're, putting that in the code and it's not there, when we come out and do a replacement, we will put that in for them. So make
I'm not
it-
sure if
bring
it's
it
in
all
our
to
code or not. I know Wixom has it in theirs. Yeah.
I'd make a motion that we approve the proposed marketing agreement between the village and Utility Service Partners, Private Label, INC, doing business as Service Line Warranties of America.
Second that.
Okay, motion by Newman, second by Duff. Any discussion? It sounds like a fair system. At least it's an offering that we can allow residents.
It's a choice.
Yep, it's a choice, that's right. It's a choice. Okay, with that, let's do a roll call, I guess.
Kazaki?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremini?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I'll
Sounds
follow
like
up
we'll be
with
working together.
David, and we'll get everything
Yeah.
squared away.
Mike, can you just, maybe just walk us all through next steps? I mean, I can get the
Yeah.
executed license agreement back to you electronically tomorrow.
Yeah, perfect. You get that back, and then I'll set up an onboarding call with you, David, and then we'll just kind of go over a few of the items we'll need. You know, if you have a list of local contractors you want us to use, you don't have to tell us that, but that'll help us get started. We'll get a mailing list from you, that sort of thing, or we can purchase our own. So we'll kind of go over all that in the call, and then it's typically about a 6 to 8 week process. The biggest heavy lift is on us. We want to enroll all the contractors, get all that set up before we do any mailings to the village, because we know as soon as we mail it, somebody will sign up and they'll have a claim right away. So we'll make sure that all that's in place before we do the mailing. But about 6 to 8 weeks, we'll get the letters dropped. You'll have the template, you know, this week, and then you can start reviewing it, any changes or anything like that. So
Sounds good.
thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
coming
you.
tonight. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mike.
Alrighty, moving on. Item B, recommendation and updates from our engineer. Mike's not here. Go ahead, Michelle,
So
again.
hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions. We'll start with the pay request from HG Sarter. They did quite a few different miscellaneous repairs from the road paving project, smaller concrete repairs that were not part of the quote with Hutch. They did come in at a lower cost quote to do those repairs, so we had them go through and do all of them, and we are recommending payment for the work completed for $5,995.50.
Make a motion that we pay HG Sarter for the amount of $5,995.50.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Any discussion? Just a quick question for me. As far as the repair, 2 patches caused by excavator, and then the heat and patch from excavator damage, is that,
That was from the Wolverine Lake Drive ditch enclosure.
I didn't know that.
That was at the beginning of the project. They were debating on doing all of the work in the ditch line from the road. We would not allow that. We did require them to stay within the lawn areas wherever they could. There were a few areas where they could not. Unfortunately, Wolverine Drive had just been recently paved. The repairs were fairly simple repairs, but yes, the excavator did do some damage in areas where they had to access from different areas because of boxes, AT&T boxes and Consumers Energy, transformers and so forth.
It's just
So,
unfortunate that the project took so long, because otherwise the paving would have been done afterwards.
yeah, well, that Wolverine Drive was actually done 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So that was,
That wasn't the same area.
correct. So fortunately, it wasn't the fresh, brand-new
Yeah, that's what I was
pavement. It actually worked out well because the ditch line did end up being done pretty much right before the second phase in that area was done for paving, so none of the new pavement was affected at all, so. But yes, those kind of things definitely are frustrating, but
Okay, fair enough. Let's do a roll call vote, please. Nobody else has anything?
Nedrow,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Girarmini,
Yes.
Tesnecki,
Yes.
Knopf.
Yes. Next up is 2024 crack sealing program.
So we did not go out for bids again on this because we did bid it out last year, and A&R Seal Coating was the low price of 60 cents per lineal foot. They have agreed to hold that same price for us for another year. Therefore, we are recommending that we get out there and start the crack sealing now because we're starting with it getting colder out, we're starting to see cracks getting larger. So we want to get them out there, crack sealing, hopefully to keep the roads in good shape through the winter time with the freeze and thaw.
They've been holding the price for the last couple of years too, actually. So,
Yep.
And they've done a good job.
They do a good job working with us and getting the streets that we find the most critical, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve using A&R seal coating to do our crack sealing at the price of 60 cents per linear foot.
Motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by Newman. Any discussion on that?
I just want to make sure, because I know last year they were missed, Wood Lawn and Rose Lawn get
that's not-
sealed,
okay.
No,
or
this
at least
is,
get checked out, since those are pretty new roads in the last 5 years or so. We have those taken care of.
Well, I know that's what Powell's done in the past. They've looked at trying to prioritize the newer ones.
yeah,
The
obviously,
ones that need the most.
we do try, we go based on the 5 and 10-year program. The roads that are coming up much quicker due, we typically don't put as much money in those locations, and we try to stick to the roads that are newer, and in still 5 years, they should be holding up pretty well. So we do try to target the roads that have more longevity to them.
Very nice. With that,
In this, it talks about 16,000 linear feet of cracks. Do we need, that need attention? I mean, we have the cost per linear foot. Is there any other maximum amounts or anything else we want to put in there?
That's $9,600.
Is that $600?
So what we do is we set the budget with the village, and then we actually hold them to that budget and target the specific.
Specific ones?
Mhm.
Okay.
it's been around 10 grand every year.
Yeah.
And we'll budget for it, so. Go ahead.
And just in terms of the budget too, I see our favorite county commissioner here tonight. But we already have an agreement in place with the county to use the funding from their local road improvement program towards the crack sealing program again this year.
Okay.
So in fact, I think we already have the check from the county, I believe.
think we do.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
then
yeah.
after the work is done, I have to submit a report, but that's $7,695 of county money that we'll be using for this program this year.
Great.
So,
That's super. Okay, with that, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Jeremini.
Yes.
Kuzensky.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes. Third, on to our favorite ditch enclosure project.
So, the ditch enclosure project has been completed by A&J Excavating. They did have some extras in there as well as, so we did also receive another invoice actually from them today, which we are evaluating, and we will be working with them on that. The council has a couple different ways they can handle it. There are a few punch list items which they did not take care of upon completion. They were supposed to go back into the structures and mortar the pipe coming in and around the casting at the top to make sure that they were watertight. That's very important in the long run, because if water infiltration gets through there, it can take sediment in with it and cause sinkholes around the structures. And that sediment then gets carried into the lake, which we don't want. The other thing that they did not complete was leaving the structures' sumps cleaned out. There's some sediment in the bottom of the sumps. These two items definitely are going to, they are part of the punch list items, so the village has the opportunity to withhold $10,000 from what our recommendation was for payment to A&J Excavating. Or what we would actually recommend is working with that $2,000 that they submitted and having another contractor do those punch list items, because there were a few other items that were not A&J's responsibility. And we think it might be a little bit more timely if we have another contractor handle the punch list items and then work with A&J for the additional invoice that we got, so that we can finish our contract with A&J Excavating with the amount we're recommending payment. So the village can go one of two ways. They can withhold 10% and have him come back out and do those punch list items. Or they can pay him and withhold the $2,000 of the newer invoice and have another contractor handle those punch list items with a few things that need to be done as well. So our recommendation would be to just close out the contract with A&J. And I think that the things that need to still be done will get done a little quicker if we do that, and it will be kind of nice to have that kind of put to bed. So we did withhold quite a bit in what they billed us. Our contractor amount with them was $82,520.01. That was what we had with the signatures and what we expected this to come in at. With the extras and the unforeseen of utilities being in the way and gas lines having to be relocated and all of that stuff, it ended up coming in, and this does not include the invoice that we received today because that was a surprise to us. That was $95,945.01 with the approved extras. We have previously paid A&J $53,933. They did not pay for the materials. The village did cover the materials at the beginning of the job, meaning that we should pay them $42,012.01 of the remaining contract. And then they did supply us with the extras of $11,385, which we actually approved of the extras. It was their invoices were a bit higher than that, and we scaled it back to what they had billed us for dewatering for an extended period of time, and we felt like it was, they could have done the project a little faster, which would have limited the dewatering, so we scaled that back quite a bit. And we are recommending closing out with Jamie of A&J Excavating with a total payment of $53,397.01.
Make a motion to approve paying AJ Excavating $53,397.01. And with the caveat that we withhold the, what was it,
$2,000 and, yeah.
$2,000 in the invoice until the other stuff is done.
Okay. Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by O'Brien. Discussion.
Michelle, how many of the additional payments that they're requesting would have occurred regardless of who did the work?
The amount, I would say the amount that Mike recommended paying them is what we would have incurred under somebody else. He definitely withheld quite a bit more than what we were actually invoiced. So, yes, I would say that $11,000 is what I would have expected to pay. There were some extras of bends and extra work and time in dealing with the crossings of utilities and Wolverine Drive and so forth. So I would say that $11,000 is fairly consistent with what I would have seen extras from other based on after when they got the ground open. The dewatering was much greater than what we expected it to be. They were running multiple pumps all the time in order to even get the pipes into the ground without them floating up. So
We had a wet summer. That's
it
for
was
sure.
it was a tough job this summer. So, yeah.
Yep.
But part of that was because they took so long to get the job done. I mean,
Had they started in January before we lifted the dam, we did get some other contractors' thoughts on this that we work with quite often, and they said it might have made a difference, but they didn't know how much of a difference it actually would have made. The starting later, it probably made a bit of a difference, but not the full amount of what we saw out there, so.
I guess the only question I had was withholding the $2,000 for, I mean, what has to be done as far as the checklist goes? I mean, that should take care of it easy.
Cleaning out the sumps
Yeah.
and mortaring the
That should
4
take care of it.
structures.
It's not
So
much.
it's, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just one quick one. The delay for gas service relocations, 3 days?
Uh,
What does that mean?
So, I don't know the answer to that. I can get
Okay.
back to council on that.
Okay.
I think that he had actually charged more than that, and that was how much Mike had recommended based on, it could have been done more uniformly, had
Okay.
more area opened up to have more gas lines changed.
They did have numerous delays, though,
Yes, yes,
because of issues like that.
yeah.
Sure. But
But
a
they
lot of
kept,
days where they weren't there either.
or when they
Right.
were there, they stopped after hitting one gas line and not going to the next to see if that was there. And so that they could have utilities come out and do it all at once. So maybe 3 days is all we're being billed, but it may have been a dozen days.
It was definitely more than 3 days. So,
Yeah, I think I hear Michelle saying that Mike worked with him, and I think Mike thinks it's probably fair at this point.
There might even have been more than 3 days for
No,
one
they-
of the delay, for one of the gas lines that had to be relocated.
there was
as I
3
recall.
days for one, 2 days for multiple others. I think that there was 11 days total of stop work waiting for consumers. Yeah.
And that was just consumers.
That was just consumers, yes. So they did have days where we were waiting multiple days just to get one line relocated. So Jeff was out there, and he did, on the 3 days that Mike gave him, those were actually times where it was like, okay, there's nothing that can be done here. We do have to wait. There was no manipulating the gas line around it or anything, so.
So were there days where they could have worked and they weren't there?
Yes, there was
Multiple.
a few of those.
Okay, so we're paying for the days that they were delayed working.
When they actually were delayed
Right.
because they couldn't do anything, yes.
Okay.
But we didn't have a penalty clause for overrun as far as timetable either, so, in a contract.
I think we will be writing that into all contracts
It's
moving
something
forward,
reasonable, yeah.
especially when we are working with much smaller contractors, so that they have some liability in it and making sure that they get things done, so.
Anybody else?
Glad it's over.
Roll call, please.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Jeremini.
Yes.
Kesnecki.
Yeah.
McNutt.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Whew, finally. Clear Miller Sports Court repairs.
Yes, HG Sarter came in at low bidder to do any,
Oh, we're still up there, yeah.
yep, for
about
the
that.
sports court, to do any, wait, I'm sorry, this is for the ditch line enclosure.
Yep, still.
Sorry about that.
I jumped ahead, sorry.
So this is the concrete approaches, all of the driveways that were saw cut and opened up in order to do the ditch line. This is restoration of paving. So it was done per our plan, per the requirements. All of it was inspected. There were a lot of details that homeowners had insisted that their driveways match what they had previous, which absolutely makes sense. And HG Starter came in, finished all of those apron repairs, the concrete approaches from driveways, and we recommend paying them $20,412.50 for the restoration of the concrete driveways.
Make a motion that we pay HJ Starter $20,412.50 for the ditch enclosure restoration.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Newman. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Duff.
Yes.
Jeremini.
Yes.
Kesnecki.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes,
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
2 more items for the ditch enclosure. Then we'll be done.
Yes. So we did go out and get multiple bids for landscaping. A lot of landscapers were very busy. We did get one from the person who had done the first portion of Wolverine Drive up to Amenia. He ended up being just a touch higher than JW Christmas. JW Christmas came in as low bidder, and they have been out. They have done all the work. We cannot totally tell whether the grass is fully established yet, but it was all hydro seeded, very nicely manicured. Residents seem to be very happy. They were very good with the residents. They completed their task very fast. There is one small area that we did have them doing that was along the road paving that they are going to get out and just fill in a little bit behind the new curb that went in. It's only about 40 square feet, so it's very minor. But we are recommending paying them $10,510 for the completion of the grass restoration and ditch line work reshaping.
Make a motion to pay J.W. Christmas in the amount of $10,510 for the ditch and grass restoration.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Jeremini. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Chesnacki,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
And finally,
Finally, the last one on the Wolverine Lake Ditch Line enclosure was some finalized work over near Penny Lake. There were some 45s that needed to go in to match the grade, and we did get an extra cost from A&J to do this work. They were quite a bit higher, and JJM did say that they would come in and do it for $400, and they did it. They did a great job. They provided all of the documentation to us and got it in, and we recommend paying them $400 for the installation of those 245-degree elbows and the flared end section that needed to be reestablished. So that was an extra to the project.
I'll make a motion to pay JJM Backhoe Service $400 for the ditch enclosure and then the installed pipe repairs.
Second.
motion by Newman, second by Duff. Any discussion on that? Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Chesnacki,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Now we're on Clara Miller.
Clara Miller, the sports court repairs. So obviously, H.J. Sarter went out and did all of the crack repairs, the larger crack repairs. They cut them all out, put new asphalt in and rolled it nice and solid. They hauled out quite a bit of material. There was a lot of cracking, obviously, as you are aware. So we have been out there. They did a great job. Goddard has finished the painting. We did not hire Goddard to do any cracking. We did receive their invoice too late to have it on this agenda. It will be on the next agenda. They finished their work. We do have some questions. We will be working with them. We did notice some small, about 1/8 of an inch cracking through some areas of the roller rink and a few other in the basketball area. We're going to be meeting with Goddard next week to kind of discuss this and what we can do about that. Paving is always very difficult. When the weather gets colder, that's when we really start seeing cracks. The shrinking that happens in asphalt is very obvious when the weather starts changing. There's going to be cracks no matter what. I don't know if you've even driven the new roads that just went in this year where it was an entirely new base, new road, everything. Unfortunately, there's some very hairline cracks, which is why we do crack sealing. That is happening already on the sports court. I do think that those hairline cracks were there prior, and the paint didn't get fully into those as we had hoped that it would. So, and then obviously with the colder nights, we're seeing more shrinking than what we had anticipated. So, but we're going to meet with them next week to kind of get a feel for what can be done and why that happened and why more paint wasn't, kind of to fill the holes. Figure out what we can do about that to try to keep it as long as we can without needing to do additional repairs. So that is, yeah, but David, you were out there, the painting looked great. I guess if you have any questions, we're just kind of going to continue forward and work with Goddard to find out what we can do about those small cracks that are already starting to form.
Yeah, the courts all look, if you haven't been out to see for yourself, the courts all do look spectacular.
Sure do.
The tennis courts, we still have to put the nets back up, so those aren't opened up yet. But I was out there this morning, and you can see all the scuff marks from the shoes on the pickleball court. That's obviously getting a lot of use.
They were full last night, and I went by.
Yeah, I was out last week and was looking at the basketball court. I had a hard time because there were so many kids playing basketball in the basketball courts. And then I've talked to two different representatives of the group that play hockey there, and they're both thrilled with the work that's been done. They asked me to express their gratitude to everybody on council for the investment that we've made. The fellow out there this morning, actually, to give you an idea, they have old rusty metal nets that they use when they play hockey, and they're concerned that using the nets that they're going to scuff up the new surface on the courts. So the fellow that was out there this morning, Ren, was actually fitting some like PVC tubing around the bottom of the nets to act as a cushion between the nets and the surface. So again, they're really thrilled. We recognize that as things go forward, there probably will be some fine tuning, some additions that we'll have to make. I talked to Lee, who was at our council meeting a couple months ago. Yesterday afternoon, he came into the village hall, and he said one of the gates is just high enough for their ball to roll underneath. So we'll have to find some way to, I don't know if we can lower the gate or not, but we might be able to put some kind of a filler in there. I think for the pickleball courts, we're going to need to have some benches or some seats over there for people who are waiting to play. Out at the tennis courts, we've already gotten a request to have a porta-john out there next year. We're going to expect more use out there. So, I mean, it all looks good. We do have some punch list items to address, as Michelle said, and there are some other things that we'll have to do going forward. But all in all, I think it's been a real good investment for the village.
It looks great, it really does. And there's been a lot of people out using it in the last couple days, at least. Weather's been nice, but.
And that doesn't even include the reconditioning of the ball fields over at
Yeah.
Claire Miller, which is in process right now, so.
Those are getting used already, too.
Are they? Okay. But they're really, technically, they're not as nice as they will be
No.
once the reconditioning process is over, so. Lots going on over there.
Yep, sure is. Looks great.
The last thing is the Cycle Challenge area. I actually went out on last Thursday, because I was supposed to meet with the surveyor who was going to be staking it out based on our plan for the excavator to come do the moving of dirt and the asphalt millings to make it. She didn't show up, and I found out that her transmission went out. So she canceled with me that day. Apparently, she was actually out there yesterday. I have not confirmed that yet. I didn't go out and verify that she had staked it. As soon as I verify that tomorrow, I will be getting a hold of the excavator and getting them on task to get out there. So, yeah, that should be working out here pretty soon as well. So that's where that one stands. If council has any questions, I'm ready to answer them.
Seeing none? Which way's Mike off today?
He's actually enjoying Michigan. He went around all the Great Lakes, and he's at Silver Lake Campground right now. So I told him that he's a little late in the year. It's kind of chilly that way now. So,
So next week. Okay, well, thank you. We have no public hearings, so we're on the new business item A, Water Management Board recommendation for fish stocking not to exceed $2,500.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Any discussion?
What fish are we actually putting in?
They're actually going off of the DNR point of contact, see what they recommend this year. There has been some issues in the past about too many small feeder fish, too much bass. They only do a fish surveys at about an average of like 10 years.
10 years, I think, yeah.
And you can't pull it ahead, it's just on schedule. So they're gonna go off DNR's recommendation this year. We just wanna make sure we have the funding to get it done.
Okay.
I don't think we've heard back. I think Board Member Sparks, I think, was the one who was going to be contacting him. So I'll follow up with him to find out what he learned in terms of the recommendation so we can get the order in. We try to get the fish in the water before the end of the month or by the middle of November at the very latest. So I think that's something we'll try to get done before council meets again.
And before Imlay City runs out of good fish.
That too, yes.
Okay, well, with that, no other discussion, roll call, please.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay, item C, set the public hearing for next month for fiscal year 2025 CDBG funding.
So time to start the process for next year's Community Development Block Grant funding, and the first step for us to take in that process is a public hearing. I'd like council to go ahead and set that public hearing for our next meeting in November, and by that time, I'll have a written recommendation for council as to how we should actually be using the funding.
Motion to set the 2025
GG,
CDBG funding.
GG.
The regular November council meeting.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right. Next one is the cyber liability and data breach coverage insurance. This is something we've had for the last year or two, I think, right?
That's correct, and this is with a different company this year, and I would note that, I guess, hats off to the MML, they've sharpened their pencils or whatever, but the cost of the coverage that they're acquiring this year is significantly lower than what we had paid last year, so, hopefully this is coverage we never have to use, but in the meantime, we're recognizing a cost savings using this company as opposed to the provider that we used last year.
Make the motion that we accept the data breach coverage at a cost, or for 2024, 2025, not to exceed $2,942.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Incidentally, that's about what it costs, because we just, through our insurance at work, we had about the same coverage, and that's exactly what
Was it?
It's right in the ballpark with a couple $100, yeah. So. But today, the way the world is right now, it's something you should have, I guess. So with that, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
McNutt.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Okay. Item D, introduction and first reading ordinance 106A-124, dealing with signs. And we're going to have three ordinances that we reintroduce, all dealing with signs. And basically, this is to get our sign ordinance in compliance with the federal government as far as, trying to remember what the terminology was on that.
Content neutrality.
Yeah.
For what?
Content neutrality. So this came out of a case from 2018, I think. So we actually started talking about it back then, and it during the election season, it comes up as a reminder all the time, so it came up again this year. And so Leanne worked on this, and she worked back and forth with Sally, because it's needed to go to the Planning Commission. So I know the Planning Commission had 2, maybe 3 meetings
probably three
discussing
meetings on it,
this. And so the D, E, and F are a result of that discussion.
And basically, it's for sign basically for the definitions, basically for setback requirements and content and size.
It just
So-
changes the language of your sign regulations, so that they're content neutral, that they could withstand constitutional challenge. I think why a lot of communities held off on doing anything when this case first came down was because there was, I guess, discussion that ruling was possibly going to change or needed to be fleshed out more. And then that just didn't happen, and it seems to be the direction that sign regulation is going in, so.
So with that, that's what we have. Any questions on that? So motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce ordinance 106A-124, sign ordinance.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Newman. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Second is to introduce first reading of ordinance 106A-125. Deals with signs also, so.
Make a motion to introduce the first reading of change of ordinance 106A-125.
Motion by Newman,
Second.
second by Duff. Any discussion on
How
that?
does this affect the sign rules, this section, this one specifically? Like, more clearly defining this, what are the setbacks?
It was actually just, so none of the numbers changed. It was the two little, I can tell you.
I'm trying to remember what it was, too.
Yeah, the little,
Footnotes.
1 and 2 little footnotes here changed. It was really just a clarification of what the front minimum is, and then you have rear or lakefront minimum. So it was just changing that language to make it more clear, really.
There wasn't much of a change on that portion.
No, it was really just to clarify what constitutes a compliant setback is what they were,
Yep.
I guess they had issues with, what does this
Is
language
that more
mean
with- Is that
exactly?
more to do with the building inspector than with the signs, or?
No, it's residential signs or
Okay,
commercial
where they can be-
signs,
Where they can be placed.
where the placement is on the property.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep. Or within road right-of-ways or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
whatever,
Right.
yeah. That's included in the sign ordinance, is all the placements of it, so.
Yeah, obviously, I
Right.
Yep.
have plenty of complaints about our ordinance, whether or not the sign was in the right of way or in the property.
Okay, any other discussion on
Yeah,
that?
and my recollection is that there was a homeowner that had a different interpretation of the way the way this section of the ordinance read.
Okay.
And in taking a closer look at it, I think we all didn't necessarily agree with the interpretation, but we could see how the language could be interpreted that way. And so to clarify, really, this is just to basically confirm or affirm the interpretation that we've been using all along, but just to eliminate the ambiguity in the setback language.
Mhm. Okay, anything else? All in favor on that one? Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to introduce and first reading of the ordinance 106A-126.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Newman, amazing. Any discussion on that?
What defines an election date temporary sign? Does it, you have to be like specifically stating a candidate's name, or can it be more, where is that
It wouldn't be
line?
Michigan State or U of M or anything like that.
Or
on it,
even, you know, a criticism of a political leader as opposed to an endorsement, or, so obviously, something that says Trump Vance or Harris Walsh, whatever, those would obviously be election signs, I would wager in this. But if somebody says, my president's an idiot, or my governor's an idiot, or one of those kinds of things, does that fall under
I wouldn't think that would
a
be, I
non-political?
would think that would be non-political.
Okay. So they can still
But-
make their statement,
I mean,
it's
yeah, I
speech
would-
as opposed to,
It's not, that
Okay.
wouldn't really, I don't think it would be tied to an
right,
election at that point. I mean,
right, okay. And then how long can a resident keep a regular sign in their yard then, a temporary sign?
From the primary to the secondary, and then 15 days after.
Well, that's for the election.
political
That's what
election,
it was.
for a
Yeah.
political sign,
Well,
yeah.
in
That's-
general.
That's just election dated, or,
Right.
you know, political signs, I guess, that have dates.
Mhm.
So the temporary signs, there's no
There's no
limitation.
limitation
There's
on
no
it.
time
Okay.
limitation.
So as long as
That's
it's
why
within
they,
their property and not
And
in the right of way.
There's been some discussion in the past with planning on that, trying to think about how you could tighten things up on it.
Mhm.
But then you're gonna get into situations where, I mean, somebody has a Michigan State flag and a U of M
Oh, absolutely.
fan doesn't want it along the lake or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that. I mean,
and my main concern is just based on things that complaints I've had people bring up to me and things like that about, ordinance guy came and took my sign and wondering why, and I said, well, it's probably in the right of way.
in the right of way, yeah.
And it's, otherwise you're fine to have it, but I want to make that here, and anybody can watch this meeting and say, okay, yeah.
Yep,
As long as I keep it in my yard, that is legally my yard, I'm good to go.
right.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
That's some of the discussion that we had planning wise on that, yes. So with that, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We are at the second call, an hour early. So, Mr. Laybourne.
I'm going to play a little video, and I just wanted you to observe this councilman's actions. I was very grateful that you let that gentleman speak through the whole process, because we didn't do that to the high school when they sent their person to tell us about the levy, the tax that they're passing. 5 minutes, we cut them off. That was wrong, because that was where I got all my information about the school's levy. And then also, you folks were supposed to get the information. We just closed about up to 5 minutes. We didn't even warn him that he was only getting 5 minutes. You could tell he was prepared to talk and give us the whole amount. But let me show you, and I'll just let it play. Watch his body language. Okay? And then I'll talk about other things. It's going to run about 3 minutes. Watch this gentleman's body language and this gentleman's, they're both councilmen. You tell me how you feel, how these people are seeing their customers, and the residents are customers to this village. This gentleman is looking at this gentleman, and this gentleman is looking at his watch. You watch. At 5 minutes, bingo, calls the president, his time is up. Now he had to do it again to show that he wasn't just doing it for me. There was another council member here. And in 5 minutes, he cut him off. And of course, he told you off. But the thing about it, what I'm trying to say is, the feedback we get from you folks means a lot if you know anything about body language. This gentleman should not be in the council, because you're not showing respect to the people that sit here. Not because of me, but anybody that sits in here, you give them undivided attention. Look at this watch every few minutes, every few minutes. What kind of body language are you giving to all the people? Not only to me, but also the people that are watching. I sent the administrator a little note that possibly we can get MFL to get us somebody to bring the people that are running for council here, so you folks can tell the residents what you want to accomplish the next 2 to 4 years. We have the room, we have the equipment. He replies to me, they don't do that. I do that. I usually give some information out there to see how much feedback I get. But the key thing is the League of Women's do it. And when I was a councilman, that's how we got voted in. We gave our spill, and there was, at that time was a newspaper there to give us their spill. And there's no reason, all these people that are running for council, a lot of people don't know them. But give them a chance. The other chance they have is maybe through the process of having it videotaped, we might get some volunteers. I'm sick and tired of seeing your signs saying, we need volunteers, we need volunteers. This village is fantastic, but it's the leadership, and that's where we fall apart. Because you go to the Water Management Board, it's the pits. I'm sorry, it's the pits. You're not going to recruit anybody for the last couple of years because their attitude. They know everything on the lake. No, they don't. Otherwise, they would be out there to see how your wind harvester's going around all over the lake with 35% productive. By that I mean they're cutting grass only 35% of the time. How do I know? I just sat there on my deck and I could put it on a timer and watch them. I'm retired now, so I was looking forward to being on the board to help them build a better community. But since you guys decided I don't belong on that board, I'll be here to tell you how bad you're doing out here, because it's really bad. The other thing is, did you know that I sent you some information and the email came back, mail delivered failed, return message to sender? Are you aware of that?
If you're asking me, no, I'm not.
I'm sorry?
If you're asking me if I'm aware of it, no, I'm not.
You're not. Well, I use your, the usual that I keep sending you information
Is that the last couple of days, Mr. Layburn?
last couple of weeks.
I know we had email issues the last couple of days, right?
And, well, 5 minutes, we'll cover it next month. This is the gentleman I was telling you, okay, that blew snow on my property. And they can call the police department to say, he's running his security system. Go over there and tell him to shut her off. I wonder whoever told the person to call my lawyer to shut off my, if they told him I had sent you a picture of him sitting on my deck and setting off my alarm. If you didn't tell that person should have egg in her face or his face.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Layburn.
Hi, Chris Long, 4200 Teal Lane, I'm Wolverine Lake now. So update, Dave stole some of my thunder. So the local road improvement program got added, amended back into this year's budget, $2 million. So I'm glad you guys are using that. It's a little amount, but it certainly helps for some of the projects. So that got amended. The budget passed. It was $1.1 billion budget. So that was this year. So that just passed in September. And another issue, and some of you might know or have heard of it, probably from Supervisor Gray, about the sheriff's contract at the county. That's a big issue because although we use Wolverine Lake Police, and we know, they're wonderful here, but when you're in Wolverine Lake, you pay Commerce too. So I'm having a really hard time as a commissioner finding out what the rates are going to be, what the contract's going to be. It's very strange. I just texted again yesterday and tried to get more information, and it's like one fiscal service will tell me one thing, the other undersheriff will tell me another percentage of the increase. It is really strange, and I've been there 22 years. So I heard it could go up as much as 15% for 2025 for the sheriff's contract. And though I agree that the deputies need their raises in order to attract and retain our deputies, there is a I think that one of the issues is there's a 7.5% indirect cost thing. And so you ask, what does indirect cost include? And we just get all kinds of different answers. If you need corporation counsel for something, that's added in now. If you need copies, and so we're like, it never was added in before. So then some commissioners that don't use the deputies are saying, well, then we must have subsidized that for all those years. And I said, well, so what? We subsidize stuff out this end for the south end all the time for things. But, so, I don't know, it could be a battle, we'll see. I hate to vote no on it, because I don't want to vote no on the deputies' raises, because that's going to be included in it. But I heard it's coming to vote in November. I don't know, it probably will be after the election. I'm just thinking politically, unfortunately. But I hope I get more information to share. So I've only heard 15% for 2025 for this, for Commerce Township contract, and 3% for the next year. And that is, everyone's saying, where'd you hear that from? And I said, undersheriff. So I'm trusting him. Our fiscal service did not know that. So I'll kind of keep you appraised to that, that's coming up. So I don't know, Supervisor Gray said that what he thought it was going up would cost him $900,000 more
Almost $1
next
million
year.
bucks, yeah.
Yeah, 900,000. So just in a light, there might be some kind of new millage, public safety millage that Commerce might have to do. I don't know, because that's a huge increase for their budget. So that's one of the issues going on now, and it's very strange how it's all, we're not finding out anything, you know, and I said, please tell us before the municipalities know, so I could call people, you know, so it's really weird how things are playing out on that at the county. So that's one thing, and any other things, if you guys ever have questions, call, text me. I do text, it's my cell phone listed, so please feel free to contact me. And I'm helping Linda from Glengarry, and
That's
she's
what I
already got
understand,
2
yes.
calls back, so, yep. So, gotta keep our businesses, you know, small businesses in business, so I'm helping her. So thank you for referring her to me, so I got her connected to the right people. So, thank you, you guys, and I love your meetings, you guys are very good doing your
Thanks
job.
for what you do, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else second call? Seeing none, set topics for October 23rd work session. Okay, motion by Duff, second by Jeremini. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Pending business, I don't believe we have any.
We do not, thank you.
So we're off to update from Police Chief Solvik.
Okay, if you have not seen or stopped in, our old dispatch center has a fresh facelift, new carpet, new paint, new furniture, looks fantastic. Stop in and see us and kind of give you a tour of the place. Department meeting we had this past month went very, very well. A lot of contributions, and it went very good. And I think morale is very good right now, so we're excited about moving forward and implementing some of those changes, so we've got a great group here. Our oldest Tahoe is getting sent down to the shop to get stripped down on Monday. Once they strip that down, they'll start the build on the new Charger that we recently purchased. It's taking a little bit longer to get that equipment in from the manufacturer than we had anticipated. I think we're actually, as a police department, we are actually in need of an IT company or a person to service the police department. We've had some issues with the department email, and honestly, Sergeant Marosco and I, we tried to figure this thing out for hours. We're not IT people, we're law enforcement officers, and that's not our specialty. We're going to be having our lean audit fairly soon, probably within the next couple of months. As far as security, they're requiring a lot more security from CGIS and lean and Clemis. Clemis is giving us all new updates, and the first thing they do when they send the emails is say, hey, please forward this to your IT team. And so that's Sergeant Marosco and I, we try to do it the best we can. So I'm going to try and reach out to, I talked to one IT company to try and figure out some cost it would to service just the police department. And so I have a meeting with another person on next Tuesday, and so it's very possible in the very future I will ask for a budget amendment just to try and serve our needs as an IT, because we're kind of lost. We're a little bit in over our heads, to be honest with you, and so I'm not afraid to admit that. So I have some more future discussion about that later. And Brian, in my very, very short time here working, it has been my pleasure working with you in this capacity. I appreciate bringing me in, and along with the rest of the council. And thank you for your many years of service and sacrifice to the village. And thank you, Christy, for allowing him to play with us for all these years. And so we appreciate your service. And if you ever call me, I will never hang up on you.
Inside joke.
Thank you, Chief.
All good.
He just won't answer. He'll hang up on you, he just won't answer.
Okay, so we did have notification of the email migration, and in the notes that they sent to us, they did indicate that there would be no interruption of service, and there was. We still haven't received emails between October 2nd and October 7th at 3 p.m. So if you did send us an email at that time, we don't have it. And I apologize for that. We're hoping in a matter of time, some of those emails will start filtering through to us. They'll start coming through, but it is, our email has been a struggle. And so with all of your emails, if you're not able to sign in for some reason, call me. I'm able to reset your password. I can make your password whatever you want. Feel free to call me, and I will make sure that happens. We did install a new thing onto our general ledger, and it's called Projects, and it's going to let us really monitor costs of stuff that we're doing. So we can see like more in a nutshell what's happening, and we can bring in DPW costs, labor costs, and, equipment costs. We can bring in all the costs from AP, and it'll apply to that project. So it's a new coding system that's been applied to our general ledger numbers, so I'm really excited about that. That we'll be able to have better information for you, and as always, I encourage anybody, if you have any questions about any of our projects, you can come and visit me, talk on the phone, whatever, and we'll get you whatever you need to know or answer all your questions. Earlier this month, I was at a conference for the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association. It was a 3-day training, and it was really a great training. And one of the panels, they had some banks up there, and our bank happened to be up there. And I've had a couple of issues with our bank, 2 years in a row. We've had really bad storms in August when we're at the end of the month, at the end of tax season, and I'm depositing a lot of money into the bank, and they are just closed because they don't have a backup generator. So I had asked them, I'm like, what do you do at your branches to make sure that you can take our deposits? Because I had to deposit that day. It was journalized. It was done. It had to be at the bank. So I ended up having to drive that deposit over to a bank in Brighton. And so, because certain of our bank does not, they don't accept any cash. They have different rules like that. So that's why it was kind of a struggle in it. So I brought that up, hoping, to address that with some of those higher ups. And then I brought up about the check scanner, because we had talked about the check scanner before. And there's a fee that's associated with that check scanner. And it's not a big fee. It's like $50 a month. But we already pay a couple thousand in fees to our bank as it is. And it kind of grinds me that I can go there and their employee has to stand there for 20 minutes doing our scanning for us, or they could just give us a machine and we could do it for them. So I asked Lily, I'm like, why? I said, I have a larger bank. I didn't say, it was who the bank was of the panel of bankers. And I said, why wouldn't you just let us have that for our deposit? It behooves you. You're paying more to your teller than you are for this machine over the cost of a year. And the lady up there, she said, is it Chase? I was like, yeah. And so she came and met with me afterwards, and it looks like we're going to be able to get a scanner for free. So, and I had a lot of other people come up to me and said their banks provide free scanners. So, knock on wood, that's coming. And because I wanted to get the scanner, but it just grinded me for some, it's just like the principle of the thing. So, so that's that little story. What else did I have for you guys? So you all know we use BS&A for our accounting programs and everything we do up there. And so for the past couple years, they have been going from an in-house system to a cloud system. And Dave, myself, and Mike Shackelford, our IT person, we met with BS&A and to see what it would cost to get into the into the cloud platform. And it's considerably expensive. It's like $65,000. So today, when I was talking with them, they're at the point now that they're not going to sell any more modules to people that are .NET, and that's what we are. And they're closing that side of their business. And from all the other treasurers I've spoken to, they really don't like the cloud. There's a lot of problems with it, and so everyone says hold off as long as you can. So we're fine with the modules we have. We're going to be okay. But I am going to be coming to you in the spring with a budget request to start looking at that. I don't think it'll be next year, but it is going to be coming, that we're going to have to go to the cloud. So, but I'm hoping not next year, but the year after that. So I'm just kind of starting to tell you about it now, so.
Well, maybe they'll get the bugs out.
Well,
ironed
yeah,
out
let them
too,
get the
hopefully, by
bugs
then.
out, and, yeah, in fact, many of the municipal treasurers, they have monthly meetings, you know, saying how they deal with the different problems they've been having and all that, so it's, all those things are being worked out, so.
Just as a side note, one thing to watch is when you get to end of life with something like that, especially when you're doing payroll and 1099s and W-2s, is you no longer get upgrades.
Yeah,
So
if they
if
start
they-
doing that, yeah.
Yeah,
that'll-
so, and then when they say they're not caring, because I've had it happen,
Yep,
and when you
You
find
know-
out in December that you're not getting the payroll updates, they're gonna go into effect January 1st.
that's a good point, and
You
I
get into
will
a-
make phone calls
you
and
get
make sure,
pretty
thank
freaked
you
out.
for that.
Yeah. So, yeah, stay on top of that.
Yeah, I would not want that in December. So basically, what he's talking about is all the tax stuff goes in
Mhm.
for those, yeah.
Now, Or go to a
for
payroll
the-
service, go to
yeah.
ADP.
Pardon?
I said, or go to a payroll service like ADP.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to have any updates.
That's true. We do it all in-house.
That's just payroll, though.
That's just payroll.
Well, the only other thing you'd have would be a 1099, and you can do those easy enough manually.
Yeah.
Or you can
Yeah.
also, there's plenty of companies, you send them a data file, and they'll print your 1099s and mail them for about 70 cents a piece, and that includes the postage.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, Green Shades, check them out. That's what I
Okay.
use.
All right, good to know. I think that's it for me. I do want to say, Brian, you have been so great to work with for many years. I'm going to really miss you, so.
I won't be far.
I know you won't be far, but thanks for all you've done for the village.
Thank you.
You've done a lot with planning and all that, so. And happy Halloween. It's
Mhm.
coming. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Gillum.
Thank you, Mr. Nedrow. Since we've been talking a little bit about email, I guess some comments on that. As Jennifer indicated, our email crashed last Thursday morning at about 6:30. I think it crashed before she even got in the office that day. And we were out until, as she indicated, probably late Monday afternoon. We contacted, Jennifer did our IT consultant on Thursday morning. He was out Thursday afternoon. He was out pretty much all day on Friday. I met him back over here at 8:30 on Saturday morning to get him back into the building so we could continue to work with customer support to try to get our email back up. So eventually it did come back up. I make those comments we do have an IT consultant. We've had him for years. It's someone that Mike Kondak brought in when he was the treasurer here. And I would admit, and I think he would probably admit too, that there are some unique issues in the police department. And it very well could be appropriate for us to get a separate IT consultant in place to deal with CJIS compliance and lien issues and other things like that. So, I'll be happy to support the chief in whatever he does in that area. And when the time comes, if need be, we'll come back to you. So, but for right now, knock on wood, our email is back up. We're in a different email system, so we're all kind of learning or relearning that system. But it is functional, and as Jennifer indicated, if you have any problems, reach out to her because she is rapidly becoming an expert. We started to get some phone calls from some of the residents about the lake level and the drawdown. As in prior years, we're anticipating, the last couple of years anyway, we're anticipating starting the drawdown around November 1st. Now, as of right now, because it's been so dry, the lake level is already down between 1 or 2 inches, about 1 or 2 inches below normal level. So between now and November 1st, we do not plan to run any of the augmentation pumps at all. So we don't plan to add any water to the lake. So unless we get rain, the lake level is going to continue to drop. So for anybody that has a boat on the lake and they need to get it out, again, we're going to get serious about dropping the lake level on November 1st. but the lake levels could continue to drop before that, so,
And that's typically later than what we have done in the past,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think a couple years ago, it was discussion that started at the water board, because the falls have been warmer, people want to be able to be out on the lake longer in the fall. So they had recommended that we start in November as opposed to earlier in October. And council agreed with that, so that's the direction we've been following. Up to this point, that's the direction we're going to follow this year.
And we also met, about 5 years ago, we met with Water Resources Commissioner and found out that we could actually drain the lake faster, too. It wouldn't hurt commerce downstream. So we could actually dump more out if we had to in the fall.
So that's where we're at in terms of lake levels. Just real quickly, again, the road commission has indicated to us that Ladd and McCoy are still going to get paved sometime this month. Again, we don't have dates. As soon as we do get dates, we'll let everybody know so they can adjust their driving schedules accordingly. A couple years ago, it's my understanding that the village participated in what's called the Inside Out program by it's a Detroit Institute of Arts program.
Oh, yeah.
That involves the public display of art at various locations throughout the village. I resurrected our application. I've submitted an application, and I've gotten word this week that our application has been approved. So we'll be participating in that program again. Next year, I'll be meeting with DIA reps next week to look at potential locations. So as I learn more, I'll have more information for council about our involvement in that program. So that's about all I have to say. I'm going to reserve any comment regarding President Nedrow until our council meeting in November, when he will at least be here to gavel the meeting to order before he sneaks off into the audience. But just suffice it to say that Brian has been in the chairs as long as I've been in this chair, and I will miss having him next to me. So we'll talk more next month. So remember that Tuesday, November 5th is Election Day. Get out to vote. And if you want to vote early, you can. Contact Commerce Township with any questions or to get registered. We're not responsible for voting functions here at the village. But again, we will have the precinct here on Tuesday the 5th. But again, whatever side of the fight you're on, I encourage you to register and to vote. And then finally, just a reminder to those of you on the admin committee, we are going to have a very short meeting after this meeting is over. So that's all I've got. Thank you. Happy Halloween to everyone, too.
Yep. Okay, council comments. I'll start with Jeremy, I guess.
Thank you to everybody who donated for the blood drive. We hit and exceeded our target, so that was great to hear. And I only had to give once, so that was a relief to still meet the target. And next one is scheduled already. We're going to be doing that Monday, December 9th, and the time will be 2 to 6:30, so a little later in the day. Hopefully we'll be able to have another successful one there.
Still by appointment only?
You can do walk-ins, but appointment is preferred if possible. There was a walk-in at
They'll
least.
be coming in the door at 6:15.
Yeah, but the way they had it set up, they were quick. And they got the blood, at least they got the blood out of me fast. I don't know if I just wanted to get out. Thank you. But yeah, went well. So really pleased to see everybody that participated. Thank you to all of them. Happy Halloween to everybody. Brian, it's been great working with you. Enjoy your free time. That'll be nice for you. A little extra time off, 10 minutes here or there. And if everything works out in the elections, you'll have plenty of people on Laguna to complain to for council members, and not me. So, all the best. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you for your years of leadership, guidance, mentorship, and the village is a better place for it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you have a blessed and safe October. And Brian, it's only been 4 years, but it's been a pleasure working with you. And
as you as well.
Look forward to our meeting in November. Save the rest for then.
Everyone have a fun, safe Halloween. Looks like we got a lot more participation this year, so go out there and have a good time.
Brian, thanks for all you've done. Happy Halloween, and definitely remember to keep everybody that's dealing with the hurricane in your thoughts and prayers tonight.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a bad one, and also keep the people that dealt with the one Helene before.
We have a lot of village residents that have vacation homes down in
Yeah.
Florida, that area too, so.
Yeah. I wouldn't wish everybody happy Halloween, but I want to wish them a spooky happy Halloween. And I hope he has, you're still doing the Halloween contest, right, Mark?
Decorating
Yeah,
contest.
decorating contest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the same people every year, or are you getting any new people?
We've got a few new ones, and it looks like, I mean, this year, there's some pretty cool houses
Yeah.
that have not entered before, so hopefully they'll get entered and everything else, and we'll be
Yeah,
able to see them.
I was hoping to get some new ones, yeah, so. Yeah, I haven't seen Clear Miller this week, but the last time I saw Clear Miller Park, it's looking so good, I'm so excited about the park. It's really a work in progress, it's taken years, just years to get to this place. Chris, Police Chief Sobek, I want to tell you that I really appreciate your comments in the packet, and I really like your police mission statement. I think it was really well done, and I applaud you for that.
Team effort.
Yeah, yeah, it sounded like it.
Thank you.
And Brian, it has been my pleasure to have known you and served with you twice. So I thank you for that, and I look forward to a party, maybe next month.
Be a short one. Well, thank you, and it was great working with you twice also. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not great at public speaking, as everybody knows, but so I wrote a little comment, a couple of comments out, so. As this is my last council meeting in an official capacity, all I'll have to do next month is actually start the meeting. With that being said, I want to say that it's been an honor to serve and give back to this community. I started this journey by applying to the Planning Commission back in 1998. I've really enjoyed the years that I've served. I've met and worked with a lot of great people over the years. Especially I want to thank the residents, village staff, our consultants, board and commission members, this and previous councils for helping me along the way. I've always tried to do my best and do what's right for the village. And I've had to make some tough decisions over the years also. COVID was just a wonderful time, I'll tell you that. Wish those of you who are running in this election the very best. I know all of you on this council will continue to strive to better this community. I feel at this time the position of the village is in a good place. We have an excellent, dedicated employees and great volunteers. The village is in sound financial shape with good leadership. For these reasons, it's time for me to step aside. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together, and I've appreciated your support. May God bless this village and this country, and thank you for all you do. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
I have a PS to ask Dave, is that your Tigers tag?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Tiger's outfit.
Yeah, your Tigers outfit.
Let the Tigers get hot.
They are. Hopefully the wings will be warm a little bit too.